station of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Detroit.
Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by
Bell Tire.
The last time Max Scherzer pitched down this field, it was a night he will not soon forget. His first career complete game, he shut out the White Sox, striking out 8. And the Tigers beat Chicago that night, and they hope to do the same here this afternoon. Game 1 of this doubleheader featuring the Tigers and the White Sox. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pemba, Ron Allen, glad to have you with us. First of 2 here on Fox Sports Detroit. Game 1 features a pretty good matchup, but when we're talking about Max Scherzer, still has to feel pretty good about that complete game he threw here back in June.
No doubt about that. What I remember about that outing by Max back in June, he was intimidating. He was very efficient with his first pitch strikes, and he was also very dominating that day. 8 strikeouts, only gave up 3 hits, and of course did not give up any runs to the Chicago White Sox.
All right, let's get to the matchup here today because that is certainly the story. Max Scherzer is on the hill for the Tigers. Chris Sale for the Chicago White Sox, about as good as it gets right now in the American League.
Well, you've arguably got one of the best right-handers in baseball. You also have one of the best left-handers in baseball. Both guys get it done with contrasting styles. Both guys have those low arm slots. Fastball, slider, changeup for Sale. Max, he adds in a curveball. And when you start talking about the offense in this game, you have to get a ball up in the strike zone. You have to try to do some damage. If these guys make mistakes, if they're on top of their games, you got to manufacture some runs.
All right, a couple of weeks ago, we were set to get Felix Hernandez the Cy Young Award. Wait, not so fast. Felix has not pitched all that well recently, and some of the other guys have.
Well, because he hasn't pitched very well, you go back to that start against the Tigers. He is 0-2 with an ERA over 5, and he's given up 6 runs. And that's really allowed guys like Chris Sale and Max Scherzer and even Rick Porcello. I'm going to throw him in there with the 3.06 ERA. Porcello has some of those other numbers, which are very, very good. He doesn't walk very many people. He throws lots of double plays. It'll be an interesting conversation here the final month of the season. Corey Kluber of the Cleveland Indians is also in that Cy Young mix.
Yeah, let's not get those Indians fans upset. Kluber is in the mix. Don't worry about it. All right, J.D. Martinez, Victor Martinez. The Martinezes have been really good so far this year, and again, they just continue to shine here late in the season.
You know, with Miggy struggling right now with that right ankle, that's really been bothering him all year long, the Tigers, at least down the stretch, they really need Victor, and they also need J.D. to continue to do as they have done over their last 7 games. A combined .413 average with 5 doubles. They've driven in 7 runs. So if Miggy's not getting it done, which we've become so accustomed to him getting it done, these 2 guys are sitting right there to help out the offense, and they've really done that really all year long. Victor's been money from the day one, and since J.D. Martinez has come up, he has been really a nice surprise. So both these guys should have success today against Chris Sale. One, J.D. Martinez is right-handed, and Victor Martinez, well, he owns Chris Sale. Yeah, I said it. He owns him.
All right, after a short break, he owns him. We'll send you back to the Call Sam Studios. Check in with Lindsey Hayes. Coming up today, another doubleheader. The Tigers had one last Saturday in Minnie. They've got one today here in Chicago. Tigers, Sox, Game 1 next. To you by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. By Ram Trucks, it's summer, and great deals are heating up the Ram Summer Clearance Event. And by Kraft, individually wrapped cheese slices, always made with real milk. Back here in Chicago on a gorgeous day right now. The sun is shining. The Tigers and the White Sox getting set to do battle here. It is game one of the doubleheader this afternoon. Tigers won the opening game of the series last night. Their starting lineup for game one today is presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. And for Detroit, it'll be Kinsler, Hunter, and Cabrera in your top three spots. Victor, the DH, is cleaning up, followed by J.D. Martinez and Nick Castellanos, who's on a nice little streak right now. Holiday, Suarez, and Rajai Davis rounding it out for the Detroit Tigers, and they are facing the left-handed offerings of Chris Sale.
Chris Sale has 10 wins. He's lost 3 games. The ERA checks in a shade over 3. That leads the American League as far as the earned run average is concerned. Fastball 90 to 96. He's got that wipeout slider. He'll throw to the back foot of the right-handers. He also has an outstanding changeup.
And so we are ready for baseball here this afternoon. The first of 2 right here on Fox Sports Detroit. And the first pitch is in for a strike on Ian Kinsler. Kinsler in the opener last night was 1 out of 5. He has hit 12 home runs this year, but only 1 of those in the second half. And Ian looks at a ball inside, and the count evens now 1-1. Tigers last night fell behind early, then put up some big numbers. Justin Verlander got the victory. There's a strike called, and it's 1-2 now on Kinsler. Good career numbers for Kinsler against Sale.
294 for Ian. 5 for 17 with 1 homer.
That has popped up. See if it gets back into the seats. It's trailing that way and back out of play.
Chris Sale, one of the toughest left-handers in all of baseball. The last time there was a left-hander as dominant as Chris Sale, really from the arm slot that he throws from and the length of his body and the nastiness of his slider. You've got to go all the way back to Randy Johnson, the big unit.
Sale goes 6'6", only 180 pounds, out of Lakeland, Florida.
Left-handers usually have the day off when Sale is pitching. They do not have very much success against him, and right-handers, they don't have a lot of success either.
Except for Kinsler, who's going deep into left field, and a leadoff home run for the Detroit Tigers.
Second career home run against Sale for Ian Kinsler. It's been a long time since Ian hit a home run.
And the Tigers have a quick lead here. It's the 13th homer of the year for Kinsler.
It's a fastball that just stays right down the heart of the plate at 94 miles an hour. And Ian Kinsler, very much a pull hitter, gets out in front of it, gets underneath it, and it carries out of here.
Quick start for the Tigers here in game one as Hunter lines one to left field. That's a base hit. The Tigers right now really don't care what Chris Sale's numbers are coming into this game. They've had a couple of really good at-bats.
Let's take a look at the Chicago White Sox starting defense. Is brought to you by Tim Hortons. Left to right, they've got De Aza, they've got Eaton and Garcia. Third to first is Gillespie, Ramirez, Sanchez, and Adam Dunn. Tyler Flowers is the starting catcher once again this afternoon.
Here's Miguel Cabrera. He's batting .301 coming into play today. And a wave and a miss, 0-1.
Miggy was 0 for 5 last night. He was the only starting member of the starting 9 that did not get a hit in last night's game.
90 RBIs on the year, 250 career against Sale. And he chased one out of the zone there. The count quickly 0-2 on Miguel. For Cabrera, his 0 for 5 last night was just the 3rd time all season he has had one of those. Now Sale ready with the 0-2. And he missed inside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Hunter drawing a throw. Kinsler with a home run to start things off here for the Tigers. Hit one against Minnesota on the last road trip, but has not had very many in the second half. But a quick jolt against Sale here in this one. Swing and a miss, and Miguel goes down, swinging, 1 out.
He threw 3 fastballs right by Miguel Cabrera, who's not using his legs very effectively right now.
We'll bring up Victor Martinez. It also brings us to the Bernstein advantage. Not too many guys have these types of numbers against Chris Sale.
Victor Martinez does get locked in against Sale. Sale really, up until this point, has been no answer for Victor. And really, whatever he throws, whether it be fastball, slider, or changeup, Victor has been sitting there waiting for him. 13 for 25 with 2 home runs against Chris.
Martinez stepping in from the right side against the lefty. And he looks at a strike on the outer edge. Martinez last night, 2 more hits. And now has hit safely in his last 6 consecutive games.
As good as Chris Sale is, it's been a while since he's won a game. He hasn't won a game since July 26th. That was a game at Minnesota.
Yikes.
And hasn't won a game here in his own ballpark since Independence Day. That would be July 4th.
Extremely odd for a guy that has an ERA of 2.03.
For sure.
It's a ball high, 1-1 the count. You can talk about lack of run support all you want, but if he's given up 2 runs a game and hadn't won since July, that doesn't measure up. Sale is 25 years old. High fly ball left field. That ball will sit well. That ball is going to go. It's out of here, and the Tigers swinging the bats against Chris Sale here in the first.
Well, the people that tuned in at the top of the show, we most definitely told them that Victor Martinez owns Chris Sale. As a matter of fact, we told him a couple of times.
And for Victor, that's going to be his 27th home run, and just like that, the Tigers are up 3-0. So Sale's ERA is taking a beating here in the first inning.
That's a slider. That's the same pitch that Victor Martinez hit out against Sale earlier this year. A slider that just didn't do a whole lot. When Sale throws that slider, when he gets on top of it, he gets it down around the back foot of the right-handed batter. But the ones that Victor hit against him in his last 2 home runs, both have stayed up and right over the plate.
We'll bring up J.D. Martinez now. The Tigers out to a 3-0 lead as Martinez looks at a strike. J.D. 3 more hits last night. Tigers celebrating a couple of home runs here in the first inning. And Victor now has 3 career long balls against Sale. 0-2. May be lining up around the league to pick the brain of Victor Martinez and how to hit Chris Sale. He has done it consistently. It's hammered back out of play. It is a bright sunny day right now here in Chicago. However, the lights are on. They are expecting rain later today. We don't know how that will impact game 2 in this doubleheader, but the forecast seems a lot better than what they were calling for yesterday. And is grounded foul. So Sale having a really rocky first inning. The only out he's recorded is strikeout of Cabrera. Swing and a miss, and JD goes down, 2 gone.
The first changeup that Chris Sale has thrown this afternoon. He's got a great changeup. He's got the really good slider. He's got the mid-90s fastball.
Well, we check out our player of the game predictions courtesy of McDonald's new triple cheeseburger for just $2. Well, guess who I'm going with today?
Victor, well, good choice today. I'm going with Miguel Cabrera today, hoping that he gets back on track. He needs a little TLC.
And Keats is going with Max Scherzer, the Tiger starter.
You and Keats really went out on a limb today.
We did, didn't we?
Really.
I walked in the truck and they said, you know, the numbers for Victor on Chris Sale are out of this world, and I said, he's my player of the game. And it's worked so far. And it's not rocket science. Here's the 0-1 to Castellanos. 1 ball, 1 strike. .263 for Nick. He's hit 10 homers this year. And he shoots that one foul back out of play. 1-2 now on the Detroit third baseman. A couple of really good at bats last night for Castellanos. He had a double, but maybe more importantly, it was a ball that he inside out and went the other way and knocked in a run with a ground out. And that one just missed outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Chris Sale now is about to throw his 23rd pitch of this first inning. Got him, strike 3. Castellanos not a fan of that call. Sale strikes out the side. However, the Tigers taken deep twice. Kinsler started the game with a long ball, and then Victor continues his mastery of the Chicago lefty. Nothing lead in this contest. The White Sox starting lineup presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers. Eden, Ramirez, and Abreu at the top. Abreu had a big night last night. Dunn is at first today. Garcia in right. Gillespie at third. Bottom 3 of De Asa, Flowers, and Sanchez. They'll face Max Scherzer today, who's presented by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical. Scherzer brings home his first pitch, and it's in there for a strike.
Max has got the overpowering fastball in the mid-90s. Every now and then he'll get up to 96, and because he's won 15 games and lost only 4, and the ERA is shade under 3. Max very much in the Cy Young Award conversation again, as he won one last year.
You know, and it really was, I guess he was on the periphery all season long. Really, he was putting up good numbers, but not worthy of Cy Young talk, and now that has totally changed.
Well, Felix Hernandez has come back to the pack just a little bit. Felix in his last 3 has lost a couple of games, and his ERA is over 5. So Felix Hernandez, more importantly, has come back to the pack. Guys like Max, Chris Sale, Porcello, Corey Kluber.
Adam Eaton had a big night last night, had a double, had 3 hits total. He shoots that one back out of play. 2-2 count.
Max has been tremendous this year against the White Sox. He is unbeaten against them, 4 wins, and his ERA is under 1 against Chicago White Sox batters this season.
And of course, the complete game, the shutout that he threw here back in June, the highlight of his season, because it was the first complete game he had thrown in his career. He missed outside there, running full now, 3-2.
And Brian Holiday, that may have been the highlight of his season as well. He was behind the dish that day when Max threw that complete game shutout.
As he is today, flashing the signals. And it's flying the other way. How about Eaton? And he just finds a hole.
Last 27 games, he's hit about 500. He's flat out raking right now. Take a look at the Tigers' defensive alignment behind Max Scherzer this afternoon. Left to right, you've got And J.D. Martinez, you've got Davis in center, you got Hunter in right, third to first. Castellanos, Suarez, Kinsler, and Miggy. And we just told you that B. Holiday is the catcher this afternoon.
Here is Alexi Ramirez. Didn't have a hit last night. He was 0 for 5. The average at 283. And Alexi leads all shortstops in a lot of different categories in the American League, including homers and RBIs. And you look at the first pitch inside, 1-0.
Alexi also has a knack for hitting that ball on the ground in these types of situations. And he has grounded into 20 double plays already this year, which is one of the reasons why Eaton, the speedster at first base, might try to steal second.
Alexi taking all the way again, looks at a strike 1-1.
Alexi should have called timeout. Max waited so long in his delivery before he delivered that ball toward home that even though Alexi got a fastball in a predictable fastball count against a fastball pitcher, he couldn't pull the trigger. I mean, once Max holds the ball for 5 seconds, you as a hitter, you have to call timeout and step out of the batter's box.
It really is stunning that more hitters do not do that against him, because this is what Max does and has the entire season. Long wait again, but the runner goes, and it's grounded foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So even trailing by 3, Eaton feels like he can, steal a base here in the first. And also, Robin Ventura giving him the green light because of what I told you about Alexi Ramirez and the fact that he hits into a lot of double plays.
Eaton this year, 13 stolen bases. 1 and 2 on Alexi Ramirez. And now finally Ramirez calls time. He was not going to let him do it to him again. This is something Max started incorporating last year and something he practices in the bullpen before every start. Once he gets into the game, I mean, it can be up to as much as 8 seconds that he holds the baseball.
It has definitely helped him slow down the traffic once they've gotten on the base paths.
He altered it a bit there, quickly came home with it, missed outside, 2 and 2. Alexi Ramirez, a 283 hitter. Home run numbers up this year. His power numbers were really down last year. Ramirez sends a ground ball left side. Castellanos to second. That's all we're going to get. Wasn't hit hard enough to turn the double play, so Ramirez aboard in the fielder's choice. 1 on, 1 out. Now Scherzer will get to the meat of the Chicago lineup. Jose Abreu. It has been a fantastic season for Jose Abreu, who, even though he is just a rookie, will certainly garner MVP conversation, at least, at the very least. I mean, 33 homers, 97 RBIs. He has been the rookie of the month 3 separate times this year. Ramirez down there at first base can steal a bag too. He has 19 this year. Let's have a quicker move, and Scherzer threw it away. The second baseman Kinsler is going to have to go get it, and for the second time in this series, a Tigers pitcher has thrown one away, and the White Sox base runner has taken 2 bases.
It was Verlander throwing one away last night. Adam Eaton, their center fielder and their leadoff hitter, was on first base. He was able to get all the way over third base. And now it's Max throwing one away. Mickey just can't get down there low enough to help Max out. That ball bounced before it got to Mickey.
And so Ramirez able to turn it all the way down to third base. It's just 90 feet away now. Abreu's still waiting on a pitch. Fouled back out of play. No balls, one strike on Jose Abreu.
Max could wind up here if he wanted to, but apparently he feels just as comfortable in the windup as he does in the stretch.
Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss. 94-mile-an-hour fastball from Scherzer.
That might be the only hole that Abreu has. If you go upstairs with a good firm fastball at about 95, 96, you might be able to throw it by him. He had a lot of success last night against Verlander. He had 3 hits in the game, but Verlander was able to throw a couple of heaters by him upstairs.
333 with men in scoring position this year. Scherzer ahead in the count 0-2. And a swing and a miss to get him. So Abreu is out on strikes, 2 gone.
And we're going to make that our bell tire pitch by pitch. Max Bowes is next with a runner on third, less than 2 outs. First pitch, curveball. Then he goes upstairs with a fastball at 94. Then an outstanding slide piece down and away against one of the league's best hitters. So curveball, fastball, slider. All 3 of them located beautifully by Max.
Here is Adam Dunn. He's only .213 career against Scherzer, but he has 3 home runs. And he sends a ground ball to the right side off the glove of Kinsler. That'll score a run. It looked to be a routine ground ball to one of the best defensive second basemen in the league, but that's baseball.
It's a rare error there for Ian Kinsler. And if Ian could do it all over again, and I don't play second base, but he may elect to just back up just a couple of steps to get a better hop. That way you don't run the risk of getting that short hop and you're not able to make that play. Back up a couple steps with Dunn running. Give yourself more time to make the play.
No RBI in that play for Dunn. That'll make it a 3-1 game. And Kinsler does not commit too many miscues, and so far this year, just 6 errors all season long. Here is Avisail Garcia. 3-1 ball game now. And Garcia looks at strike 1.
Ian Kinsler was sitting on only 2 miscues in the first half of the season, but has made 4 errors since the second half began.
That one right there cost the Tigers a run. Garcia last night had a double in the ball game. And it's in there for a strike. 0-2 on the former Tiger, Avi Garcia. Looked like in April that Garcia's season would be over on a diving attempt in right field. He tore the labrum in his shoulder and had surgery shortly thereafter. Swing and a miss. Just like that, Garcia's out of there, and that'll end the inning. Scherzer gets his second strikeout, and the White Sox settle for 1.
Torrey Hunter and Paul Konerko in the same ballpark, well, it got us to thinking. They are two of only 13 active players who had played at Tiger Stadium. And we sort of threw this challenge out for you in the pregame show. Name the rest of them. Well, A-Rod is on that list, even though he's only somewhat active. Jeter, Giambi, Ibanez, Ortiz, A.J. Pierzynski, Carlos Beltran, LaTroy Hawkins, Bartolo Colon, Tim Hudson, and the Tiger for a minute, John McDonald. So there's your list, Mario. I know it was eating you up.
It was. We were talking about this yesterday, Keats, in the dugout. And, you know, it's amazing. That was a while ago now that Tiger Stadium was shut down.
1999. So most of these guys are, well, northern part of 30s.
Gray
on
beards.
the other side of 40.
Yep. A lot of gray creeping into their beards and hair.
Should have threw Brad Ausmus on that list. Obviously, he's not an active player, but he played there as well.
Yeah, a couple of terms of duty for Ausmus as a Tiger.
Here's Brian Holiday to start things off, and he rolls one to the shortstop. Ramirez ranging left, and he'll throw it out. One up and one away. And this, by the way, is the farewell tour for Paul Konerko, who is playing his final season in the big leagues, and one of the guys on that list.
No doubt he will stay in the organization in some capacity.
Here is Eugenio Suarez. He's batting .255. 1 out of 4 last night. Scored a run, stole a base as well for the Tigers. Well, we kind of walked in this one thinking it might be a low-scoring affair, but already 4 runs in this game. The Tigers got 3 against Sale, and the White Sox answered with 1 versus Scherzer. And Suarez is hit by the pitch.
Looked like one of those sliders that he was trying to get down by the back foot. Got his Suarez on that back right knee.
Not a good spot to get hit. Kevin Rand coming out to make sure Suarez is all right. He is not coming out. So the Tigers should get another base runner. 1 on 1 out, and that'll bring up Rajai Davis.
Chris Sale, 3 earned runs with 2 home runs allowed in the first inning here today against the Tigers. It's the first time in a calendar year nearly that he's given up 3 earned runs in the first inning. So he usually gets off to a much better start.
Davis did not start the game yesterday. Carrera got the start. And he looks at ball 1 outside. Carrera did some pretty good work offensively. Had a couple of hits, scored a run, stole a base.
Slapped the ball the other way. He pretty much kept the ball out of the air yesterday.
Rajai shoots one to right field. That's a base hit.
I see you, Rajai.
Suarez on his way to second base. He will stop there. And Davis now has given the Tigers runners at first and second with 1 out.
When you talk to opposing hitters, they will tell you that Chris Sale not only has dominant stuff, but it's his arm slot that prevents a lot of problems. They say it literally looks like he's throwing the ball from second base. He's 6'6". He's got a long wingspan. He throws that fastball from that slot. He also throws that really good slider from that slot. Left-handers do not play against Chris Sale on most days. That right-handers hitting only .214 against him, although the Tigers have 3 runs today, 3 hits by 3 right-handers.
4 hits overall now for Detroit. That'll bring up Kinsler, who has 1 of those hits. And he bunts this one third base side.
Obviously, Clayton Kershaw of the Los Angeles Dodgers is a class of all left-handers. He's just kind of put himself in that class. He's already won 2 Cy Youngs. He's going to win his 3rd this year. But you've got guys like Sale. You've got guys like John Lester. You have guys like David Price. They're also in that conversation.
Kinsler homered back in the first to start the game, his 13th of the year.
Did I leave any left-handers out?
You have to think on that. I think he hit the major ones.
Yeah, CC Sabathia always had been in that conversation, but he has struggled this year.
I would not put him there now.
Can't put Kazmir there. He hasn't done it long enough.
Here's the 0-2. Ground ball left side of the infield. Ramirez fires to second. There's 1. There's 2. It's a double play. So nothing comes of the trouble for Chris Sale. 6-4-3 gets him out of the inning. And here at U.S. Cellular Field in the south side of Chicago, the Tigers and White Sox doubleheader action here today. Game 1, the Tigers scored 3 in the first inning. They've hit a couple of home runs in this game, Kinsler and Victor Martinez. And Scherzer goes back to work. Tyler Gillespie is leading things off here for the White Sox. Gillespie, then De Aza and Tyler Flowers. Gillespie hitless last night, 0 for 3. His average is at the lowest point that it's been in a long time, 302. In fact, he's never been below 300 this year, so he's getting close. Swing and a miss. 0-2. History says he's not going to have an easy time today. Just 3 for 15 against Max in his career. One ball, 2 strikes on Gillespie. 30 doubles this year for the White Sox third baseman. There's De Aza waiting on deck. Another warm, humid afternoon here in Chicago. Here's the 1-2. 2-2 now on Gillespie.
The last couple of pitches, Gillespie doing a very nice job of laying off the breaking ball thrown by Max. Max has been able to throw his fastball right by several of the White Sox hitters already. We might see another one here at about 94, 95.
Gillespie swings right through it.
94 was that last heater by Max.
Third strikeout of the ballgame for Scherzer, who talks about the challenges that present themselves when you face a team 5 times in 1 year.
Once you start facing them four times, they've seen everything. They know what I'm trying to do against them, and they have a feel what they want to do at the plate. They know what pitches are probably going to be coming, so the margin of error decreases. I mean, you got to be razor sharp with all your pitches and in their locations. But I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a challenge.
And it's a challenge that, for the most part this year, Scherzer has met 4-0 this season against the White Sox.
I guess my question to Max would be, do you change what you do if you're 4-0 against a team in your starts against them this year and your ERA is under 1? Do you make any adjustments, or do you make them make all the adjustments?
Here's the 1-0 pitch, and it's bunted foul back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. I would imagine if you're Scherzer, you stick with what's worked until it doesn't work anymore.
You would think that.
And then you go the other way. De Acha left the ball game last night, had a double.
De Acha loves the ball down and in, as do most left-handers. He's got some very quick hands on balls down and in, whether it be a breaking ball or a fastball. He got a slider from Verlander in last night's game and whistled one down in that right field corner.
One and two on De Acha. Hitting .316 over his last 22 ball games. And he chops one towards second. Kinsler is right there. De Acha is out, 2 gone.
Well, in case you missed it, at the top of the show, we showed you that on June 12th, Max Scherzer pitched his first complete game shutout. He was very efficient this day. He was dominating, and, well, he was really just downright filthy. He had 8 strikeouts in the contest, only gave up 3 hits. He was nearly first pitch strike on every White Sox hitter. They really had no chance against Max that day. B. Holiday, he led Max beautifully that day. And Max Scherzer, that was his first complete game ever. He had a lot of big league starts before finally getting a complete game.
And on that day, it was also a Scherzer-Sale matchup. Sale was pretty good that day as well and gave up 1 run in 7 innings. There's the comparison. 10 punch-outs that day for Sale. He's fouled back out of play. The count is 0-2 now on Tyler Flowers.
Well, originally today, Sale was supposed to pitch 1 game. Max was going to pitch the night game or the day game. I don't remember which order it was. But when the White Sox changed to pitch Sale the day game, Brad Ausmus quickly switched to pitch Max against Sale in this first game today, wanting to give himself the best opportunity to win the game, obviously.
Max has a 1-2-3 second with 4 strikeouts. Tigers baseball presented by Bell Tire. This game, they lead at 3-1 as we go to the top of the 3rd. And, well, you've got, as we mentioned last night, the top 2 actives against the White Sox career in a lot of these different categories. We're talking about Torrey Hunter and Victor Martinez.
Well, of course, both guys have had a lot of at-bats against White Sox pitching. Torrey started his career in Minnesota in the same division as the White Sox, and Victor Martinez, he began his major league career in Cleveland.
Hunter had a single back in the 1st inning. Scored one of the Tigers' 3 runs in that 1st. Sale starts him off breaking ball, which slid around the outside part of the plate for strike 1. There's a ball high.
Sale really missing with his location. Flowers wanted that ball down and in. Sale missed up and away with that fastball.
1-2. runner now 3 out of 5 in the series so far. Looks at a ball high, and the count evens up. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Yeah, really the only thing he's been able to command in this at bat against Torrey is the breaking ball and the changeup. Fastballs not commanding very well.
Oh, he went around.
Back foot slider.
How nasty was that?
Oh, that's real nasty.
Randy Johnson-esque.
Unhittable.
4 strikeouts now for Sale. Let's bring up Miguel Cabrera, who was also a strikeout victim in the first.
He threw 3 fastballs right by Mickey.
Now 0 for his last 13. Cabrera takes one outside. Fouled into the glove for strike 1. 1-1 the count. Sale came into this ball game leading the league in ERA, second in strikeouts per 9, and second in WHIP. He's fouled back out of play. 1-2. He went on the disabled list earlier this year in April for a flexor muscle strain, the first time that Sale had been on the DL in his career. Down strike 3, and out of there on strikes is Cabrera.
And we told you that Victor has a really nice history against Chris Sale, and it didn't begin this year, but Victor also has hit 2 home runs against him, 1 today. And you go back to June 12th of this year, hanging breaking ball that Victor hits out to left field, and he got himself another breaking ball this afternoon. If you weren't with us, it was hanging right in the strike zone, and Victor did exactly the same thing, a home run to left field.
So the mastery continues for Mr. Martinez against Sale. That home run, by the way, is 27th of the year. Victor's got a shot this year now with a decent September, a really good shot to get to 30 in the home run column.
If Victor continues to do what he's been doing for the next couple of weeks, and I don't see any reason why he will not, he's going to be in that top 4 as far as the MVP conversation is concerned.
Well, there he goes again.
It's hard to give it to a designated hitter when you have, guys like Mike Trout that are going to be in that conversation. Adam Jones will be in that conversation. You also have Jose Abreu in the conversation, Robinson Cano. But Victor has had a superb season.
I think there is a real legitimate shot he could be that high. Certainly top 5 by the time the voting rolls around. Day in and day out, I mean, he is as good as it gets. And right now he's trailing Altuve. He is second in the batting title race.
He's been money.
Did you see that Chris Carter has 33 home runs?
I did see that.
That is just one off the pace in the American League.
He's got scary power. I mean, when we were in Houston, he wasn't even getting a chance to play. He was sitting on the bench.
He started Martinez there, 1 ball and 1 strike. Of course, the Achilles heel of Carter was he struck out way too much.
Right, and that still is Achilles heel. But when he does make contact, he does a lot of damage.
That is never going to change, I guess. But
I mean, his contact to damage ratio is simply off the charts.
1 ball, 1 strike on J.D. Martinez. 3-1 Tigers lead here. Game 1 in this doubleheader. And a ball outside. 2-1 on J.D. Martinez struck out in the first inning. Now the 2-1. Swing and a miss. Well, speaking of Chris Carter, he is up there on the list with Victor Martinez. They have each knocked in 29 this month. Justin Upton is on that list. Boy, Giancarlo Stanton having a big year over in the National League.
He's in the MVP conversation over there.
Yeah, the Marlins right now are on a heavy campaign to have him win that award. His numbers are right there.
How about that rookie, Kenny Vargas? He checked in 5th on that list. We just saw him, last week in Minnesota.
Twins look like they're starting to build something. They've got some good young players. Vargas coming up. Dozier is kind of coming into his own.
They've got to get that pitching staff in order. They've got some good position players.
Sale now at 50 in this game, and he missed inside. It'll be his first full count of this contest.
Going change up here.
Drilled to left field down the line. It's going to drop there. It's going to go to the wall. Motoring to third is Martinez. They're going to stop in there. It'll be a double for JD. Second and third now with 2 outs.
If you're JD Martinez in a 3-2 count against a guy that can get up to 96, you're looking for the fastball. And because you're looking for the fastball, you're already sped up as far as your mindset is concerned. And you catch that changeup out in front, you hook it back to left field for a double. Victor Martinez and also J.D. Martinez, the last 7 games for the Tigers, they've been carrying the offense.
Yes, they have, which means we're going to have to start working on a nickname for this duo. Here's Castellanos, and he takes one on the outer edge of strike.
Well, there's already been the M&M boys. I was thinking about this earlier. That would be more known now.
Yeah, that's taken.
I thought about saying the Latin version of the M&M boys.
M-A-E-M-A? Chicos? I don't know what you mean by that. Is that what you're going for?
No, compadres.
Oh, the compadres.
No, any of that. They all work.
0-2 on Martinez, or on Castellanos with Martinez, and Martinez aboard. The 0-2 outside, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I guess I'm being told that the original M&M boys were Maris and Mantle.
Yeah, that goes back a ways. Those guys were pretty good.
They were.
Here's the 1-2. Just off the plate. Boy, Sale wanted that with his body.
Well, had he gotten a little bit more plate, he would have gotten strike 3. I don't know if Castellanos was looking for something off speed, but the way that he took this fastball leads me to believe that he would not have been able to swing at it had it been right over the middle of the plate.
Yeah, that was it for strike, and Sale has his 6th strikeout of the ball game. He fans the side here in the 3rd. Tigers strand a couple of runners. 2.5 in the books. Brought to you by Arby's. We have the meats. Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. And by the new Chevy Silverado light duty and heavy duty lineup. Turning into a hazy day here in Chicago today. Game 1 of this doubleheader featuring the Tigers and the Chicago White Sox. Max Scherzer going back to the hill. He is ahead here this afternoon, 3-1. Carlos Sanchez leads it off, then Adam Eaton and Alexi Ramirez. Foul straight back, and the count quickly 0-2 now on the second baseman, Carlos Sanchez. One for 4 in the opener last night for Sanchez, batting .273 since his call-up from AAA Charlotte. And a wave and a miss, and that didn't take Max very long. Struck him out. Scherzer has retired 5 in a row. He has picked up his 5th strikeout as well.
Well, both guys are doing what they do best, and that's strike out a lot of batters. And for the most part, they're doing it with their fastball. Max has got that mid-90s fastball, as does Chris Sale. Chris Sale does not throw a slider. Chris Sale does not throw a curveball, but Max does.
Here is Adam Eaton now. They've now been able to get him out in the series. He had a single in the first and now has 4 hits. Max ready with the 0-1. Fastball at 92 that time. The count is 0-2. Eaton is now 8 for his last 16 at bats. That's how hot he has been. Little looper, base hit. And they're all dropping now. An 0-2 single to right field.
Stop it,
Eaton.
Adam.
And while we have a chance, let's go to the studio now for a game break. Trevor Thompson. All right, Trev, thanks. Here's what the wild card looks like right now. You know, the Tigers are just a half game behind KC for the lead, but right now they are in the second spot in the wild card. Seattle a game behind them. Here is Ramirez. Alexi reaching on a fielder's choice and then scoring. And an error by Ian Kinsler back in first. That's how the White Sox got their only run of the game so far. Here's the 0-1 for Max, who misses outside.
The Washington Nationals, they continue to flex their muscles in the National League. They were playing against Seattle last night. King Felix started a game against the Nationals in Seattle, and King Felix surrendered 4 home runs.
Well, Hernandez now has given up 10 runs in his last 17 innings, which included that the start of that stretch was the start he made against Detroit.
Right.
So he has kind of come back to the pack a little bit, which has given Scherzer new life. He's given Sale new life.
Porcello in the conversation. Corey Kluber. There are a lot of people that want to throw Greg Holland's name out there as far as possibly winning a Cy Young, the closer of the Kansas City Royals. He's got great numbers, but I don't think this is a year for that because you've got too many starters that are doing well.
Yeah, it's got to be the perfect scenario, I think, for a reliever to win. And they have to certainly have an extremely dominant season out of the bullpen. Scherzer's 1-2. Missed it outside. You can almost make an argument as far as that KC team is concerned that Wade Davis is just as important as Greg Holland.
Really? Set up, man. That's a close pitch right there.
Close enough for strike 3.
No doubt.
Max did not get the call. 2-2 on Alexi Ramirez. Ground ball foul, third base side. Three runs, 6 hits for Detroit. A run on 2 hits for Chicago. They have a man on, a man out. Scherzer now at 41 pitches. As Abreu lurks on deck. Runner goes. And the throw down to second base. Bouncing in. Tag is late. It's a stolen base for Adam Eaton. That'll be his 14th. And the count has gone full now on Alexei Ramirez.
Eaton gets a pretty good jump. And also makes a real nice slide to the outside part of the bag with that left hand. Once Kinsler had to reach back, he could not tag him.
So he's put himself in a scoring position. And the time called as Holiday wants to reshuffle the signals. And there he goes to third. Driven deep toward left center field. That is going to be trouble. It's going to split the gap and go up against the wall. It is over the wall for a double, and that'll score a run as Eaton comes in. Ramirez makes it a 3-2 ball game. 64th RBI of the year for Alexei Ramirez.
It's a nice piece of hitting here. And by Alexei Ramirez, he gets a 3-2 breaking ball that gets too much plate. And he splits the gap in left center field. Eaton, who had stolen second base and was on the move to third base, he comes on to score easily on that ground rule double by Alexei.
So it's a one-run ball game now, and here comes Abreu with the tying run at second base, only 1 out. It's the third hit the White Sox have put up against Max Scherzer. Jose Abreu struck out in the first inning. Missed inside with a fastball at the hands of Abreu.
If you're Abreu, you can sit on an off-speed pitch if you want to. It really doesn't matter which one it is. You could just sit on one soft off-speed pitch until you get 2 strikes if you want to do it that way, or you can try to hit the Max fastball. Max is going to give him at least 1 off-speed pitch. There's the fastball. He didn't swing at it. He must be sitting on something soft, although that last fastball at 94 was located in an area where a lot of guys can't really do much with it.
One ball, 1 strike on Jose Abreu. Back out of play.
There's that breaking ball right there. 85-mile-per-hour slider that was right over the heart of the plate. It's right there. Sometimes pitchers get away with mistakes too.
It's funny because when they give up home runs, people will say, well, that was a mistake. And a lot of times there are a ton more mistakes throughout the course of the game that they just get away with. That one was hanging on a tee. Another foul back out of play.
And the reason why I started that whole conversation with Abreu looking for at least 1 off-speed pitch until 2 strikes, because it's gotten to the point now with Max that you cannot go up there looking for everything that he throws. He's pretty good. He won a Cy Young. No one's won more games than Max since the beginning of the 2012 season. So you have to go up there and look for specific pitches until you get 2 strikes against Max. You cannot cover the whole strike zone.
Pulled foul. Every time the Tigers play the White Sox, inevitably the conversation will turn to comparisons between Abreu and Miguel Cabrera.
I kind of like the fastball up here. I don't like the fact that if you make a mistake with a breaking ball, he can really do some damage against you. I like the fastball about the belt buckle or higher, and then see if he can get it. Looks like that's what it's going to be. Four-seamer.
1-2 is outside. Did he go? He did not, says Marcus Patillo down at first base, and the count will go 2-2. This next one will be number 50 for Max. Ray with men in scoring position this year, awfully good, 330. Here's the 2-2. Bouncing ball back up the middle. It's going to find a hole. Base hit. Here comes Ramirez to score. And the White Sox have come back to tie this ball game. It is 3-3. 3 straight hits for the White Sox. Abreu has his 98th RBI of the year.
Max had made 4 starts this year against the White Sox and had given up a total of 3 earned runs. Already 3 runs today. Abreu appeared to be sitting on an off-speed pitch when he took that fastball. He got the breaking ball. He missed it. Max throwing fastballs right by him, but he elected to continue to throw him off-speed pitches. Finally threw one down that Abreu was able to reach out and poke right back up the middle for a base hit and his 98th RBI of the year.
Here's Adam Dunn now, still only 1 out. Ball up and in, 1-0 on Dunn. Be the 4th hit of the game now for Chicago. They have scored 2 here in the 3rd to tie the game. Six runs on 10 hits between the 2 teams, and we're only in the 3rd. Shift on for Dunn. Everybody, just about everybody, playing at the right side of second base.
One more look at the Abreu swing on the 2-2 breaking ball. That's off the plate when he makes contact with it. That's about 6 inches off the plate, but the only way that a hitter hits a pitch like that is that he has in the back of his mind that he's going to get it. And that's why I really liked the fastball up in the zone in that particular count.
Majestic home run for Adam Dunn, his 20th of the year, and the White Sox have taken the lead.
We've got ourselves a ball game, boys and girls. One of the things that Max has done so well all season long, and really especially since having that really bad start against the Kansas City Royals where he gave up 10 earned runs, he's been able to throw fastballs right by a lot of the American League hitters. But he gets beat here today on a breaking ball to Alexei Ramirez. Also a breaking ball to Abreu. And then Adam Dunn just connected on a breaking ball.
Garcia hits this one in the air to left side, shallow left field. And Suarez goes back to make the play. Be the 2nd out of the inning. It all started with a single by Adam Eaton. With 1 out, that was followed by a double, a base hit by Abreu, and a homer by Dunn.
Adam Eaton, the leadoff hitter, also hit a breaking ball for a base hit.
Here's Connor Gillespie. Struck out back in the 2nd, 0 for 1 for Gillespie. 4 spot here in the 3rd for Chicago, and has given them the lead. 1 is tapped back up the middle. Here comes Suarez toward the bag. Gillespie's out by a step. That'll end the inning. Big inning, though, for Chicago. They have claimed a 5-3 lead.
To the Tigers this afternoon on 2 homers, but he has settled in nicely. He has 6 strikeouts in the game. He's got Miggy twice. He's got J.D. Martinez. He's got Castellanos a couple of times, and he's also gotten T. Hunter with his fastball, his slider, and his changeup. So Tigers have more work to do against Chris Sale this afternoon, who now leads in this contest.
Everything either a ground ball or a strikeout for Sale in this game. Brian Holiday will start things off, and he looks at ball 1. Bottom 3 coming up here. Holiday, Suarez, and Rajai Davis against the Chicago lefty. And a wave and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike on Brian.
And back-to-back changeups thrown to Brian Holiday by Chris Sale, the long, lanky left-hander.
First meeting between Sale and Scherzer, Holiday had a 3-hit game, which was a career high. Squibber off the end of the bat, backhanded by Dunn. Sale covers for the Astros. 1 gone here in the 4th inning. Well, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, we look forward to Miller time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Here's Suarez, who was hit by a pitch in his first at bat. The sun just doesn't know what it wants to do today. The clouds have covered the stadium. Occasionally the sun will peek through, and it gets all cloudy again. It is still warm, that's for sure. Ripped down the left field line. It's a foul ball, just foul. Suarez almost had himself a double. Suarez came into this one batting .351 over his last 13 games. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swing and a miss.
If you're Suarez, if you're going to make contact against Chris Sale in this 2 strike counts, you've got to cut your swing down a little bit.
One and 2. Ooh, just off the inside part of the plate. 2-2.
This is one of the toughest pitches right-handers have a difficult time of picking up against Sale, from that arm slot he throws from across his body, 93 with a fastball.
Ball's hit well. Left center field. Eaton going back up against the wall. What a play by Adam Eaton.
That ball just continued to carry. Adam Eaton really wasn't running that hard after the ball because he did not think that it was going to travel that far. And once he got to the wall, a little mini leap to make a nice fine catch. He's basically coasting all the way.
Suarez hit that ball a ton. Came up empty. Rajay Davis with 2 outs. Sale works home the 1-0. Rajay looks at a strike. He went the other way his first time up and drilled a single to right field.
Sale's got new life in this game after his team scored 4 runs against the Tigers in the bottom half of the 3rd inning.
One thing is for certain, when you face Chris Sale, you got to stack your lineup with all righties because lefties are hitting just 150 against him, with only 1 extra base hit.
Right-handers came in hitting 214 against Chris Sale. Hasn't won a big league game since July 26th. Over a month since his last victory.
Low and away. Full count now, 3-2 on Rajay Davis.
The numbers we just spoke of.
Here's the 3-2. He lost it, ball 4. Davis stuck to good at bat, single and a walk. So Sale has yet to have a 1-2-3 inning. Bring up Kinsler. Started the game with a bang, a leadoff home run for Kinsler. His 13th of the year. Ian also hit a leadoff home run back on the 22nd in Minnesota. Today's homer, his 31st career leadoff home run.
And we'll see if Rajay Davis thinks he can get a good enough jump here against Chris Sale to steal second base. Sale does not give up many stolen bases. He's got a real nice little slide step, which prevents even the fastest base runners like Davis to get a pretty good read off of him. Rajay looking for career steal number 300.
Davis now has gone 6 straight years of 30 or more stolen bases.
And a lot of that time, he has not been an everyday player. Huge lead.
We sit outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Sale doesn't have a great pickoff move, but he takes very little time in getting the ball to his catcher. He's about 1-1 once the time he delivers that ball into getting in Flowers' glove, which is really good.
Strike called, 1-2. Tigers led 3-0, then 3-1. Now they trail 5-3. A 4-run third by Chicago, highlighted by a 2-run homer off the bat of Adam Dunn. And the 1-2. Drilled to left field on a line, but straight into the glove of Diaz. That'll end it for the Tigers. No runs, a walk, 1 man left. trailed this one by 2. Alejandro De Aza, Tyler Flowers, and Ricardo Sanchez, the bottom 3 in the lineup. De Aza bouncing out his first time up 0 for 1. Swing and a miss, 0-1.
Max has given up a total of 5 hits in the game, and 4 of the 5 hits came last half inning. All 4 came on off-speed pitches thrown by Max.
One ball, 1 strike on De Aza. Scherzer has struck out 5 in this game. De Aza slowly rolls it towards second. Kinsler charging. That's the second time he has bounced out to Ian. 1 gone. Bring up Tyler Flowers, the White Sox catcher. Flowers just been in a nasty slump. In fact, he is just hitting at a 140 clip over his last 19 games.
They were so encouraged by his month of April. I mean, he was up around 350, and it's not that he was going to stay there, but they were just hoping that that would build into a really nice offensive season.
That's down the left field line. If it stays there, it is off the pole, a home run.
That would be another breaking ball. And 6 now. Hits given up by Max. 5 of those have been off-speed pitches.
6-3 Chicago.
I wouldn't talk about it so much of giving up so many hits on off-speed pitches if he didn't have that 96-mile-per-hour fastball that he's been throwing right by these guys.
Second home run of the day for Chicago. The other belongs to Adam Dunn. Here's Sanchez. That's going to go all the way to the backstop.
That's a curveball there. And you can see that it's not one of Max's better breaking balls. There's so much wind blowing out to left field here today that anything hit up in the air in that direction's got a chance of getting out. And you can take a peek at the flags.
They are starched. Swing and a miss. The breaking ball there by Max, and the count 1-2. Each team now with 6 hits. Shattered back. It's going to get down a base hit. Snap his bat in half, and Sanchez has a single. Seven hits now for Chicago. They bring up the top of the order, Adam Eaton. Continues his rampage. Eaton with 2 more hits, now 5 in the first 2 games in the series. He has stolen a base and scored a run here today. I kind of touched on this a little bit last night, Rob. This is one of those guys that if he could ever stay healthy for an entire season would be one of the top leadoff men, it appears, in the league.
He really energizes the top of their batting order. They play their best baseball when Adam Eaton's on the field and healthy, getting on base, stealing bases. He's outstanding in center field. And he's got a really good throwing arm as well. Really, the only thing that he doesn't do is hit for power.
Eaton has 8 triples this year, second highest total in the American League. The 1-0. ball. Right field, hit well. Hunter is on the move, still going back. Torrey runs him down in the gap. Nice running play by Torrey Hunter, who had a beat on it the entire way.
Torrey Hunter can still go get him. He was once one of the best center fielders in the game. 9 Gold Gloves total, 7 of those in the center field position. He ran after to get this one like he is really 29 years old. He got a great jump, and he had to run a long way, reaching up, making an outstanding play to prevent Eaton from getting another triple. Well, Eaton ought to be used to that. He takes away a lot of hits, too.
So here's Alexi Ramirez now. That easily would have driven in a run. Ramirez knocked in a run with a double back in the third. He has scored twice in this game. He shoots one to first base, and it's caught by Cabrera. That'll end the inning. A run on the Flowers homer, now 6-3.
...2015 Detroit Tigers season tickets and receive 2014 postseason priority. Call 313-471-BALL or visit Tigers.com. Tigers just a half a game back of the Kansas City Royals when play began today. Kansas City lost their game last night to the Cleveland Indians. All of a sudden, the red-hot Cleveland Indians.
They find a way to get it done, don't they? They did last year. They very nearly caught the Tigers. Cleveland now 4.5 back in the center. There's Torrey Hunter leading it off.
Cleveland has won 7 of their last 10 games.
Hunter a single and a strikeout and a nice running catch in right field. Sale back home with the 0-2. And in 1 ball 2 strikes on Torrey.
How about the Los Angeles Angels? They've all of a sudden put some distance between themselves and the fighting A's.
Yeah, the A's have really struggled since the Lester deal. Strike call, and Torrey is out there 1-0.
And meanwhile, Chris Sale, he's kind of settled in. And he's gotten nasty out there.
Angels now 3 up on Oakland in the West. Baltimore comfortable lead in the East, despite the fact that they've gotten a couple of big hits to their lineup. Peters out and Machado out.
And the Tigers have taken over the second wild card spot over the Seattle Mariners, who have all of a sudden fallen on hard times.
Cabrera fouls one away on 1. So Miguel with a couple of strikeouts in this ballgame. The average now is at an even 300. Fouled off again, and the count is 0-2.
Well, you just don't see Miguel Cabrera strike out 3 times in a game, but that's exactly what he's in jeopardy of doing here today, and that's after going 0 for 5 in last night's game.
Down and going. He strikes out for the 3rd time. That is 8 of them now for Sale.
There's that back foot slide piece. It has been an outstanding pitch for Chris Sale since he came to the big leagues.
2 and 3 guys in the Tigers lineup. Hunter and Cabrera combined for 5 strikeouts against Sale today.
Miggy just not able to use his lower half right now. And bat not staying in the strike zone very long.
Well, Martinez, 2 more hits, including a homer. Takes one inside, 1-0.
Well, both of the home runs have come on breaking balls, and you know Chris Sale knows that, so more than likely Victor's going to get a couple of fastballs in this at-bat.
This in there for a strike.
I told you that it is very, very rare for Miguel Cabrera to strike out 3 times in a game. Well, that's the first time this year he has done that.
Now Sale with the 1-1. Martinez tomahawk back one down is 1-2.
That was a 95-mile-per-hour fastball at the top of the strike zone that Victor was looking for. He just missed it.
Sale is obviously no stranger to strikeouts. He's fouled back out of play. Last year he struck out 226, the most by a lefty in team history.
He's one of the best in the game. He's made a few all-star teams.
Sale trying to get to the double-digit mark again in strikeouts in this game. One ball and 2 strikes. Here's where Sale ranks in the American League, which is why he is among the candidates for the Cy Young. He's had 6 games this year of 10 or more strikeouts. A couple of those were 12 strikeout efforts. And Martinez goes down swing. He strikes out the side. That is 9 in the game now for Chris Sale. You're watching Tigers baseball presented by Belt Tire. fifth inning, the White Sox have come back on the Tigers. Tigers had a 3-0 lead, but 6 unanswered for Chicago. It's now 6-3 White Sox. Jose Abreu leads it off, facing Max Scherzer. Abreu, Dunn, and Garcia in the fifth inning. And a check swing low, 1-0. Abreu in the ball game, a single to knock in a run back in the third. He bounced the ball right back up the middle to drive one in. Max with the 1-0. Fouled away. 1 ball, 1 strike. This is a White Sox team that had been reeling coming in with their loss last night to the Tigers. The Sox had lost 9 of their last 10, 16 of their last 21. Now the right field line slicing away from Torrey.
And when a guy has had as much success as Abreu has had in his first tour of duty in the big leagues, you want to take a look at where he does most of his damage. And you can see you can kind of get him out down at the bottom of the zone. Across the middle, 352 in, 403 fastballs away. Also able to climb the ladder, 355 on balls up and away from him. So he's just done a lot of damage. And really, that's strange that you would see the bottom of the strike zone. He doesn't do much damage there. Most guys love the ball down.
You know, when they signed Abreu, and it's always a gamble. Now, obviously, they knew he had a lot of talent. And when the A's signed Cespedes, they knew he had a lot of talent. But there's some part of you that just wonders how they're going to adapt to big league pitching and playing here in the United States. And Abreu has just gone way beyond, I think, what people thought he would do.
Well, he just carries himself like a big leaguer. I know it's his first year stateside, and I know he's a little older than most rookies, but the way that he carries himself on the field, opposing managers respect that. Opposing players respect that. Plays the game the right way.
He'll shoot that one the other way into right field. It's yet another hit for Abreu.
That was a fastball he hit there, but the majority of the hits that Max has given up in that third inning where they did the damage, they were breaking balls. Eaton breaking ball down. Abreu breaking ball off the plate for a base hit and an RBI along with Alexei Ramirez. So today they're just hitting Max's breaking ball. He has been able to throw fastballs by them. He has quite a few strikeouts, but it's been the breaking ball that's been the pitch that he's given up the most runs against today.
And now Dunn, who homered against him, back in the third. Ball 1 inside.
And meanwhile, their slugger, Abreu, just continues to take what Tigers pitchers are giving him. Verlander last night, Max today. 5 singles in the first 2 days for Abreu.
And that's what has made him impressive. You look at the power numbers, and you're really in awe of those. But on top of that, he's hitting over 300.
Well, when the season began, he was right around 240, 250, but he was doing a lot of power damage, a lot of home runs. And then once he started to learn some of the pitchers, started to drive the ball the opposite way, that's when that batting average started to creep up to 280, 290. And now he sits well above 300. It is not out of the question. It's not out of the question that Abreu could possibly win a Triple Crown.
Well, he's in top 5 in the 3 Triple Crown categories. And since you bring that up, yeah, it's not only not out of the question, it's certainly possible. But obviously the batting average is going to have to go on a tear to catch Altuve or Martinez. Now the 1-2, and it's outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, here's where Max would just throw fastballs up around the belt buckle to Adam Dunn in the past and simply strike him out. Dunn does not hit balls above the strike zone as that chart we showed you on Abreu.
Here's the 2-2. Old foul at home plate.
Here is our high-speed pitch, and it is brought to you always by Xfinity. Max has been all the way up to 97 here today, so he's got an explosive fastball with a lot of life on it.
Swing and a miss. Dunn is out on strikes, one gone.
It's a nice changeup here that Max was able to get on top of and bury at the bottom of the strike zone, getting strike 3. Adam Dunn swinging right over the top of it.
Here's Garcia. He is 0 for 2, strikeout and pop up in this game. White Sox are ecstatic that Garcia is able to get back before the season expired. After the surgery, they felt that he might miss the entire year. But he'll play the final 6 weeks of the season. And I don't know what you can take away from it, Rod, because basically, I mean, when a guy has missed the entire year, he's probably going through the equivalent of spring training right now.
For sure. He'll get better. He is part of their future. And they hope that Garcia is their right fielder for the next 10 years.
Well, Tigers fans know what he can do. Of course, he was dealt by the Tigers in order to get a shortstop in Jose Iglesias.
Garcia probably will play some winter ball as well this offseason in Venezuela, since he did not get that many at-bats this year.
Scherzer slings one outside, 1-2 the count. Garcia, when he was with the Tigers a couple of years ago, had a really good postseason at .455 in the ALCS back in 2012 with Detroit. Swing and a miss. Scherzer at 95 throws it by him for his 7th strikeout of the game.
They had 1 strikeout already of Dunn on a change piece, and this one he just climbs the ladder and blows one right by Garcia.
It's Connor Gillespie. Gillespie is 0 for 2 in this contest. A strikeout, ground out. Shoots one toward left field, straight at J.D. Martinez, who backs up. And the inning is over. Nothing comes of the leadoff single by Abreu. Coming up for the Tigers in the 6th, J.D. Martinez will lead it off. Chevrolet, and the probables look like this. It'll be Kyle Ryan, Chris Bassett, both guys at Double-A at one point this year, both guys making their major league debuts.
Yeah, Ryan 10-10 in the minors this year. Bassett 3-1 with a 208 earned run average. 98 strikeouts for Kyle Ryan, just 37 strikeouts, 37 walks, excuse me.
That'll be coming up for game 2. Our coverage will begin at 6 o'clock back in the Motor City for the nightcap. Work to be done here, though, as we go to the 6th inning. J.D. Martinez leads it off, facing Chris Sale, who struck out the side back in the 5th. And it's rolled foul, 0-1. That was the first 1-2-3 inning for Sale in this game. Missed tying away. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sale in the second half, despite not getting many victories at all, had an ERA of sub-2. 1.91 in the second half. Tigers ambushed him here today. They scored 3 against him in the first inning.
Yeah, and that's unusual for Sale. You thought maybe the Tigers were going to have their way against him, but the White Sox batters, they've battled back into this game, and Sale, it's going to be tough to beat the remainder of the way.
Here's the 1-2. He checked it. Did he go? Yes, struck him out. Home plate umpire Scott Berry didn't want any help. JD didn't like the call.
The 10th strikeout already this afternoon by Chris Sale.
And that gives Sale 7 games of 10 or more strikeouts this year.
And JD probably went a little bit too far that time.
Tigers have had the leadoff man on only once, and that was Kinsler homering to start the game. Up high to Castellanos. He's had a couple of 12 strikeout games. 2-0 the count on Nick Castellanos, who has not had much luck against Sale. 2 of those 10 strikeouts today. Up and in, 3-0. And he's walked him on 4 straight. Sale had struck out 4 straight batters and now a walk.
Hey fans, catch every strikeout, catch every game ender, catch every history-making moment on MLB Whip Around weeknights at 10 p.m. Eastern on Fox Sports 1 and streaming live on Fox Sports Go.
2 walks now to go with his 10 strikeouts, and here is Brian Holiday. A couple of ground balls in his 2 at-bats. And Holiday looks at a strike, 0-1. Tigers loading their lineup with all right-handed hitters today against Sale. We gave you the numbers earlier. Lefties have 0 success against him. Just swinging a miss, 0-2.
Coming into play today, Chris Sale had only thrown against left-handers 107 times this year. 107 left-handed at-bats against him. Over 400 for the right-handers. So it's not just Brad Ausmus. Every manager gives lefties a night off for the most part when Chris Sale is on the mound. We were talking about Randy Johnson the last time we saw a left-hander with this kind of wingspan and the back foot slider and the explosive moving fastball and good changeup. Brad Ausmus caught Randy Johnson when Randy Johnson was traded from the Seattle Mariners to the Houston Astros back in '98, I believe it was. And Brad Ausmus said it was the best and some of the most fun that he had ever had catching anybody.
He had to be a chore to catch, though, with the movement on his slider. Did he go? No, he held up.
I believe Randy went 10-1 after he was traded from Seattle to Houston and pitched in Seattle into the postseason that year.
I don't know that big league hitters ever really fear a pitcher, but when Randy Johnson threw, there were some guys that didn't mind getting a day off.
Yeah, he was 6'10",
6'10",
and he was mean.
Swing and a miss. Holiday's out of there.
And he had that mullet that you and John Keating were talking about last night.
He had the original mullet. Looked good on him, though. The one memory that comes back is John Kruk in the All-Star game when Randy threw at him.
I watched Randy for 4 straight years when I was broadcasting games for Arizona. And I watched him win 4 straight Cy Youngs. And he was striking out 300 batters a year. I mean, it was amazing. It really was. It was amazing.
Here's Suarez with 2 outs. He gulps one down the left field line. That is a foul ball. It's the second time Suarez has barely missed down that left field line.
He's a dead pull hitter. We talked about it last night. And when you throw him something middle in, Suarez usually doesn't miss it. Here's what we were talking about last night. Only 5 hits the opposite way this year. And for Suarez, and once that number goes up into right field, his batting average will go up a little bit as well.
Swing and a miss.
Sale just kind of reaching back and just firing it up there, just letting it, throwing it as hard as he can. It's already over 100 pitches, man.
He's at 104, so at the very most, they'll probably get another inning out of him.
Well, they're hoping they get one more inning out of him, because once the Tigers get into that bullpen, they'll have a chance to come back in this game. Sale has already had 3 innings today where he has struck out the side. He has a chance of doing it again.
Swing and a miss. He has done it again. That is 12 strikeouts, which equals his season high. We'll go to the bottom of the 6th.
This is a little bit of what Justin Verlander was able to do last night. Lots of fastballs up in the strike zone. He got himself some easy flyouts, some easy pop-ups. He did have a few strikeouts as well, by and large, with that fastball at the top of the zone. It's the same thing he did 6 days ago when he went up against the Minnesota Twins. And by and large, I think this is kind of going to be the Justin Verlander that we're going to see the remainder of this year. I don't know about next year as far as that velocity of the fastball comes back, but move the fastball around, do some breaking balls, do some changeups. Wasn't overpowering, but may have been one of his best starts of this season.
Well, that's the best we'll see the rest of the year. It's pretty good. Nice start last night for Verlander. 8 punch-outs in the game.
He only gave up 1 run. It's the only start this year that he's only given up 1 run in.
Here in the bottom of the 6th, it's De At CHA, Flowers, Sanchez facing Max Scherzer. Max now about to throw his 90th pitch of this afternoon. Here's the 1-1. De At CHA has put the ball on the ground twice, both times to the second baseman Kinsler. 2 in this game. And the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Down he goes. Max has his 8th strikeout. To the studio we go for a game break. Trevor Thompson. All right, Trev, thanks. That's a good pitching matchup there. You've got Shields, one of the better veterans in the American League, and Bauer, who's, I think, going to have himself a nice career.
Yeah, Chris, James Shields trying to rebound from a poor start that he had against the Yankees in his last outing. But other than that start, he has pitched very well down the stretch for the Kansas City Royals, and he's a major reason why they are in first place.
1 ball, 1 strikeout. Tyler Flowers, who homered back in the 4th inning, a solo shot, which equaled his career high. 10 home runs now for Flowers. Here's the 1-1. In for a strike, 1 and 2. Well, it has tightened up considerably. The Royals have lost a couple of games. The Tigers now just a half game back. Swing and a miss. So Flowers is gone and gives Scherzer 9 strikeouts. Just like we thought would happen, a bunch of strikeouts from both sides today. That's 21 now for both teams combined. Carlos Sanchez steps in, single and a strikeout for Sanchez. Outer edge, 0-1. Good opportunity here for Sanchez after the trade of Gordon Beckham to the Angels. Sanchez getting an opportunity. Had a fine year in the minors this year. Hit for a little power, 7 homers, knocked in 57, stole 16 bases. And Robin Ventura getting a look at him at the big league level here. Swing and a miss, 1-2.
He's gotten all the reps at second base since Gordon Beckham was traded, but down in the minor leagues he played some shortstop. He also played some third base. So he's very versatile.
And the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Boy, Scherzer has 10 strikeouts of his own in this game as he fans the side. He's retired 6 in a row, 6 in the books. Here in Chicago, White Sox still on top by 3. Fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag Detroit Fan Photo for a chance to have it shown in an upcoming game broadcast brought to you by AT&T. Time for the Tigers bats to get going here. Sale now takes the mound again. He has struck out 12 in this contest. It'll be Rajai Davis to start it off. 6-3 in favor of Chicago. They've done all the scoring since the Tigers got 3 in the first. Davis, a couple of good at bats, walk and a single. And Rajai looks at strike one. It's in the air toward shallow left. It's going to be playable for De Acha. Davis finally retired, one gone. Sale this year has pitched into the 120s twice.
That one start that he made really early in this year against the Boston Red Sox, when he threw nearly 130 pitches. Now that landed him on the disabled list for about 6 weeks. So I know Robin Ventura is very cautious of how far he's going to let Sale go here today.
Yeah, the other one was a couple of starts ago. He threw 121 against Baltimore. That's in there for a strike. There is action because of that now as the pitch count moves up and up. It's Ronald Belisario and Zach Putnam heating up in the Chicago pen.
Belisario, he got up in the fourth last night in a blowout game. And now he's up today in the 8th inning in a close game.
Here's the 1-1 pitch. It's drilled toward left field. De Acha is on the move back to the wall. Reaches and makes the catch.
He plays so deep in left field.
Kinsler shot that one to the wall, but De Acha got back there.
Well, Kinsler already with one home run here today made a bid for another one.
2 up, 2 down. That'll bring up Torrey Hunter. A couple of strikeouts in each of his last 2 at bats, but Torrey singled and scored in the first. And Hunter now is going to take first base, hit by the pitch.
There's that back foot slider, literally.
They're asking now if he swung at the pitch. Boy, they're saying he swung. Yep. Immediately, Sale was acting. Here comes Brad Ausmus now. And apparently, Torrey swung at the pitch. Call was made by Marcus Patillo down at first base.
Well, nothing Brad could do about it.
No.
And that's exactly what the crew chief, Jeff Nelson, is telling Brad Ausmus. There's nothing you can do. You got to get back in the dugout.
So how often do you see a guy swing when he gets hit by a pitch? That's how nasty. Ooh, right on the knee, too. Or maybe a little bit below it. Tough break there for Torrey.
And that second replay right there, it did not look like Torrey's swing. It just looked like after the ball hit him, he was lunging forward. And obviously the bat went out there as he was lunging forward, but there was no swing there.
So Sale may have gotten a break there, and he misses outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fly ball right field line, tailing away from Garcia.
If you're Garcia in right field, or even if you're Torrey Hunter for the Tigers, anything hit up in the air, and you got to stay with it because that wind is pushing everything back toward the field of play.
And that's why you see the flags moving.
That's why they call it the Windy City.
Old foul.
That's just a nasty pitch right there. I mean, 96 miles an hour. He's 115 pitches in. Clearly why Chris Sale is one of the leaders in the conversation for the Cy Young.
It's almost a little bit of a moral victory just to get a piece of that ball and live for another pitch. And here is the 1-2. They had a hack, fouled it straight back.
The Cy Young Award, unlike the MVP, is not necessarily tied to whether your team gets to the postseason or not. I mean, there are a lot of experts out there that feel like the MVP, that team has to get to the postseason, but not so much for the pitchers.
Thought about it, didn't go after it. I would agree with that, and I wonder why that is.
Yeah, no.
2-2. Sale sitting in 117 pitches, trying to get through the 7th inning. And Hunter is not going down without a major fight. Torrey right now with a tenacious at bat. 2-2. The count stays on Sale against Sale. And should Hunter reach, Miguel Cabrera waiting on deck.
97 top fastball today thrown by Chris Sale.
Time called now. It looked like Sale stopped his windup midway through, then started it again. Swing and a miss to strike him out, and Sale finally wins that battle.
Well, Sale on, Chris Sale.
You're done for the day, we hope. 13 strikeouts for Sale, 6-3 our score. Coming up, the Help Plus 7th inning stretch. Have a good day when the Tigers scored 3 against him in the first inning, but he has turned in a pretty good pitching performance today.
Well, his offense, they were able to wake up here today against Max and give him 5 runs of support.
Here's our Comerica Bank game summary. Starting pitchers: Sale 13 punch-outs, Scherzer 10. Breu's having a big series, and Kinsler and Martinez each with home runs in this game. There's a ground ball up the middle. Nice play by Suarez. His throw was picked by Miggy. What a play all the way around. One gone.
Really doesn't get any better than that. Suarez taking a hit away from the red-hot Adam Eaton. He goes to his left, and he makes a really nice play. And then he throws the ball across the diamond, and he bounces it by design. He did not try to throw this ball all the way on the air to Miguel Cabrera, and Miguel Cabrera was anticipating it. Made a nice play.
So Eaton, who has had 2 hits in the game, was robbed by Hunter in his last at-bat, and now by Suarez. Easily could have 4 hits. Alexi Ramirez takes ball 1. Max now is over 100. He's at 101. 2-0.
And Alexi Ramirez got a big hit back in the 4th inning. He drove in the first run of that inning on a breaking ball, and he was able to split the gap in left center field. Driving in Adam Eaton. excuse me, where they scored those 4 runs against Max.
Two and two the count.
It's a well-located slider there to the right-handed Ramirez. And thrown at 84 by Scherzer. Tigers still got a shot. Sale's gone. And that bullpen of the White Sox has not been really good this year.
There's the 2-2. Swing and a miss. So Scherzer not about to be outdone. Has 11 strikeouts. Well, we have a chance. Let's check in with John Keating.
Well, Mario, with Kyle Ryan set to make his major league debut, Brad Ausmus was asked earlier today about whether he can recall a pitcher who was visibly nervous before a start. And he told the story of one guy who sweated so much, his knuckles sweat. And so when they would bump fists, he would have to sort of wipe his fist off right after bumping fists with this young guy. And it brought to mind Nate Cornejo, remember, former Tiger, spent about 4 or 5 years. Well, and his major league debut, it was in Texas, and there was virtually a monsoon flowing over the bald head of Nate Cornejo, and that was in a game the Tigers were winning and ended up winning 19-6. God bless Nate Cornejo.
Did you say monsoon?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was literally Niagara Falls off the top of his head.
All right, sweaty knuckles and all. There's John Keating. Thanks,
Okay,
Keats.
you're welcome.
Jose Abreu stepping in now with 2 outs. The stuff he uncovers, man, unbelievable sometimes.
I know, right?
Abreu's had another big game, couple of hits, RBI, has scored a run. Here's the 1-1. And fouled back out of play, 1-2. So Scherzer trying to finish off the 7th inning here. Not done anything against Max since the Flowers homer in the 4th. As Evan Reed begins to tune up in the Detroit bullpen. Here's the 1-2. Foul. Abreu back in the month of July had a 21-game hitting streak. He's also put together an 18-game. With his hit today now has a 10-game hitting streak. So that's why this guy's batting over 300 to go with the power numbers.
And it's really no fluke when you do this kind of damage. You're batting right in the middle of the order of the White Sox. He's kind of changed the culture here, along with Adam Eaton, a couple of guys to build around. Abasail Garcia would be another one.
For 10 years in Cuba before coming to the States. Hammers another one foul back out of play.
He is just fouling off everything that Max throws up there. That probably was the best fastball Max has thrown today at 97 miles an hour. Abreu's still able to get a piece of it. If you're Max, the one thing you don't want to do here is throw a breaking ball and hang it. You might just want to stay with that 97-mile-per-hour heater down in the zone. They're going slider down in the zone.
They go foul down the left field line.
We showed you Abreu's hot and cold zones the last time he was up. And that's where you get him out. If you get him out at the bottom of the zone, anything around the thighs, anything around the belt buckle and higher, he's been able to handle those.
White Sox have had a history of many good Cuban-born players. Manny Minoso, of course, at the top of the list in games played.
He played about 7-8 decades.
From 51 to 80, you're not that far off. Ground ball, right behind, maybe into right field.
If you're Miguel Cabrera, that's a play that you normally make, but against a right-handed power hitter, you're really not prepared to have a ball hit that sharply right at you at first base. And he comes up empty. Don't know what the official scorekeeper is going to rule there.
You do know this, that Brandt's going to the bullpen here. That's going to be it for Max. 113 pitches, a wall-side windows pitching change. Evan Reed comes in, Max Scherzer departs, and we have a break in the action here in Chicago. 6-3 ball game, and after a rocky 4-run third, he really settled in nicely in this one.
He did. He gave up 2 home runs in this game, one to Adam Dunn, the other one to Tyler Flowers, their catcher. First time Max had given up 2 homers in a game since July 19th.
11 strikeouts in his final tally today. Chatting now with Jeff Jones about today's effort. The Tigers go to the bullpen. They're going to bring in Evan Reed.
It's been a while since we've seen Evan Reed. And he was up with the team in spring training. He made the team leaving spring training. Pitched well early, then he struggled and was sent down to the minor leagues.
Reed last appeared in the game with the Tigers on the 17th of June.
Evan Reed also had to deal with some off-the-field issues with almost positive. That didn't allow him to really go out and focus the way that he normally would be able to focus.
So Reed is back up here now with the big club, and here is Dunn. And Reed, who has that big arm, missing with a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. Dunn, a 2-run shot off Scherzer back in the third. His 20th of the year. Ball 2.
And Tigers claimed Evan Reed off waivers last year from the Florida Marlins. And he finally made his way to the big leagues toward the tail end of last year. And as I told you, he made the team out of spring training this season.
He's missed again, 3-0.
And nothing wrong with the arm. Now he's just got to throw some strikes.
Reed trying to regroup after falling behind Dunn.
Don't know for sure, but Adam Dunn probably has the green light here if he wants to.
He's looking at a strike, 3-1. They do play him to pull, shifting on the infield with Avi Garcia waiting on deck. Full count now. Their mid-90s fastball from Reed.
Yeah, every fastball that Reed has uncorked in this inning has been 96 miles an hour and above.
Scherzer goes 6 2/3 in this game. Now the 3-2 coming home with the runner going. And it's ball 4 high. They'll put 2 men on. 2 on, 2 out. And now Garcia, who seemingly was overmatched by Scherzer's fastball in his last at bat. Struck him out swinging. Tigers today have been out hit 9-6. They trail by 3 as well. 2 on and 2 out. There's 97 at the letters.
Well, it looks like Garcia going to have a tough time catching up to that heater as well that Evan Reed is featuring here today. Doesn't have his timing yet after spending nearly the entire season on the disabled list.
That's it for a strike. Upper reaches of the strike zone. Now quickly 0-2 on Garcia.
Garcia arguing with the home plate umpire. He thought that last fastball was up. He better be swinging on this next one.
Said I finally laid off for one and you called it a strike. That's way high. You wasn't going to go after that one. Yet another mid to upper 90s fastball from Reed, who is just coming in pumping fastball after fastball.
Well, you can just stay with the fastball again if you're Evan. You just have to make it the one that Garcia will swing at.
Missed high. And the count goes 2-2. There's Gillespie waiting on deck. Get back out of play. Garcia earlier this year had his surgery on April 15th and came off the disabled list on August 16th. He is 4 for his last 32. And he pulls this one into the hole in left field. He's not going to score a run. As Abreu will stop at third base.
It's hard to believe they did him a favor. I mean, throwing fastballs right by him all day long, and Evan Reed throws him a breaking ball, and that's the only pitch right now that Garcia can catch up to.
He's going to bring up Gillespie now with the bases loaded, 2 outs.
And he's a pretty good hitter, Gillespie, with runners in scoring position, one of the best that they have on their team.
Third in the American League at 337. 235 career with the bases loaded. They've got Abreu down at third base. Dunn and Garcia also occupying the bases. That's not a very good track team on the bases right now, with the exception of Garcia. He can run. All 3 of those guys are big. 0-1 on Gillespie. That runner at third base still the property of Max Scherzer. Reed ready with the 0-1. And he's popped up. Left side, foul ground. Looks like there's room. Who wants it? Ooh, tough play for Castellanos, who hauls it in, and the side retired. So no damage done. We'll go to the 8th.
The Tigers jumped on Chris Sale in the very first inning. Ian Kinsler a solo shot, and Victor Martinez, he hit a 2-run shot. He had absolutely owned Chris Sale coming into this game. But then there was an error made by Kinsler. That plated the first run of the day for the White Sox, and then they started getting some hits. And most of the hits they were getting against Max came on breaking balls. Adam Dunn with a home run. Tyler Flowers hit a home run on a breaking ball. So Max didn't have the great control today with the breaking ball. He made a few mistakes with them, or either the White Sox hitters were looking for them and they made him pay.
So as a result, it is 6-3 as we go to the 8th inning. Into the bullpen go the White Sox. It'll be the right-hander Ronald Belisario in the Walsack Windows pitching chain.
And Ronald pitched a couple of innings yesterday, and he was pretty good in the 2 innings that he pitched. He's got a heavy sinker. That's pretty much the only pitch that he features. 93 to 96 with some real late life on his fastball.
2 scoreless innings last night. He will face Cabrera to start things off here in the 8th.
Rough day for Miguel Cabrera. He has struck out 3 times, and it's the first time this year he has struck out 3 times in a game.
There's Belisario's 0-1. There's a base hit the other way as Cabrera shoots one to right field. Leadoff man on for the Tigers.
Yeah, Robin Ventura not all that comfortable with his bullpen, and he's already going to take a stroll out to the mound and make a pitching change.
Wow. He is not bashful about doing that. We found that out last night. Zach Putnam has been warming up.
If you're Brad Ausmus, you have to be considering possibly pinch running for Miguel, but there's been no movement yet to come out of that Tigers dugout.
So Belisario faces one batter, and he's going to walk off the field. We'll be back.
Game 2 of this day-night doubleheader against the White Sox. Our coverage begins at 6 p.m. with Tigers Live. That's Tigers versus the White Sox. Game 2 tonight at 6 p.m. right here on Fox Sports Detroit.
Well, the Tigers trying to get back into this game now. They're down by 3. They will face a new pitcher out of the bullpen. That would be Zach Putnam.
Putnam's got some outstanding numbers out of that bullpen for the Chicago White Sox. 41 games, 13 holds, a sub-2 ERA, 38 strikeouts for the right-hander. And the reason why Belisario went out there to pitch to one batter, which was Miguel, is Miguel had been 0 for 6 against Ronald Belisario. Now he is 1 for 7 against Ronald.
Putnam, of course, out of Ann Arbor Pioneer High School. And he will face Victor Martinez here with the leadoff man on. Victor in the ball game. The 2-run shot off Chris Sale. That was back in the first. And Martinez looks at strike 1. Leadoff single by Miguel Cabrera. We're in the 8th inning of a 3-run game. Here's Putnam's 0-1. And it's in there. 0-2 now on Victor. The first batter facing Putnam is hitting 108 this year, which is the second best average against in the American League among relievers. Here's the 0-2. Low. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Martinez. This has been a 6-3 game since the 4th inning. Eric Surkamp, and he is the right-hander. Petrichka. Surkamp, rather, the lefty. Petrichka is the right. They are warming up now in the Sox bullpen. Surkamp, the only lefty they have in their pen. Now Putnam with the 1-2. Victor thought about it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. J.D. Martinez waiting on deck. And the 2-2. Victor takes low, and all of a sudden it's gone 3-2. Three balls, 2 strikes on Martinez. Runner going. And a swing and a foul.
Brad Ausmus has that much trust in Victor Martinez that he would start Miguel Cabrera from first base with nobody out, trailing by 3 in the top half of the 8th inning. And Victor Martinez only swings and misses 10% of the time, so he makes contact 90% of the time that he swings the bat.
Runner going again, and a ground ball hit to the right side. Keep him out of the double play. Martinez is out. Cabrera moves up.
Hey, Friday, September 5th, the Tigers open a 3-game series with the San Francisco Giants. Fans are invited to stay after the game for a spectacular fireworks display. Call 866-66-TIGER or visit tigers.com.
Here is J.D. Martinez. 2 strikeouts today against Sale. He also doubled against Chris. J.D. takes one down low in the dirt. 1-0.
We're the only members of the Tigers starting 9 not to strike out today against Chris Sale, where they're bookend leadoff hitters. Kinsler and Rajay Davis.
Otherwise, everybody else was rung up at least once. Sale finishing with a season-high 13 strikeouts. There's ball 2 on J.D. Fly ball off the end of the bat. Garcia coming hard to right field. Makes the catch. Nice run play by Abisail Garcia. It's his second out of the inning, and Cabrera holds at second base.
And Garcia had to run a long way. And gets there and makes a fine grab.
Bring up Castellanos now with 2 outs. Tigers today 0 for 3 with men in scoring position. Now Castellanos 0 for 2, had a base on balls. It was in the 6th inning. Nick swings and misses 0-1. Right-handers this year batting just 184 against Putnam. Here's the 0-1. It'll bounce in. Flowers, nice block down there. So while the bullpen by and large for the White Sox has struggled, Putnam has been one of the bright spots. Now it's 1-2 on Nick. Tigers got 3 runs in the first inning, have not scored since. They got 3 and a home run by Kinsler to start the game. And then later in the inning, Victor Martinez, a 2-run shot. Here's the 1-2. Swing, missed a strike, came out, and the inning is over. Tiger batters have struck out 14 times today. On Friday, September 12th, as we pink out the park to honor breast cancer survivors and support breast health awareness. For tickets, go to Tigers.com. Get yours today. Pink out the park against the Indians. Let's go to the bottom of the 8th. It is a 6-3 ball game here. Game 1 of the doubleheader. White Sox over the Tigers. Evan Reed goes back to the hill. He'll face the bottom 3: De Aza, Flowers, and Sanchez. De Aza is 0 for 3, strikeout, couple of ground outs. And he looks at ball 1 from Reed. Evan came on in the 7th inning, gave up a walk, a single, but then got the pop up from Gillespie to end the inning. Back out of play down the left field line. Back into the seats. The announced crowd today of 20,556 for the opener. Nothing but sunshine for the most part today. Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss. 1-2 on De Aza.
Straight changeup there thrown by Evan Reed. His fastball's gotten all the way up to 97. And that last pitch was a changeup, but he gave you the four-seam speed. So that's exactly what De Aza was looking at. And that's why he was fooled and out in front.
Another wave and a miss. De Aza goes down swinging. So that is 12 strikeouts for Tigers pitching.
The previous pitch was a good changeup at 87. Then he comes back with an outstanding slider. So Evan Reed has shown us three really good pitches today.
Bring up Tyler Flowers. And there is activity now in the Tigers bullpen. McCoy. Patrick McCoy warming up. Bouncing ball back up the middle. Kinsler on the backhand. Flowers is out. 2 up, 2 down. We'll bring up Carlos Sanchez. And he's also going to bring Brad Ausmus up. Evan Reed came on in the 7th inning. Now they're going to the bullpen again. So Reed will depart. And we'll take another timeout with a 6-3 score here in the 8th.
Fast delivery of the game. Torrey Hunter with a fine running grab back in the 4th inning. Then you also have Suarez. He made a real nice play. This is the 7th inning. And the hitter on both of those occasions was their leadoff hitter, Adam Eaton, who was making a bid for hits number 3 and 4 this afternoon, but robbed by Hunter and Suarez.
So McCoy comes on, and the first pitch he throws is hit in the air to right field. Torrey Hunter coming over, just like that, one pitch, we're on to the inning. 8 in the books here in Chicago. Let's go to the 9th. preview of today's Tigers Live. We sent it down to John Keating.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear the post-game comments of Max Scherzer, who was trying to reach a new high in the American League in victories. Unless the Tigers rally, he's going to be outdueled on this day by Chris Hill. You'll hear from Brad Ausmus as well. Any of the other Tigers who we can manage to wrangle in the Tigers clubhouse. Trevor Thompson and Craig Monroe in our Call Sam studios coming up right after the game from Chicago and Southfield on Fox Sports Detroit, guys.
All right, Keats, thanks. Well, 3 outs to go for the White Sox, and Jake Petrichka will try and get those 3 outs.
He checks in with a .286 earned run average. He has 47 strikeouts, 29 base on balls, pitching in his 56th game.
Holiday will not bat to start the inning. Carrera will pinch hit. Carrera, Suarez, Davis due up here in the top of the 9th inning. A strike called on Ezekiel. Himself a nice game. His starting role yesterday, game 1 of the series. A couple of hits, reaching on an air, stole a base, scored a run. And he checks his swing. Strike 2 called. 0-2 on Ezekiel Carrera. Game 2 later tonight. A couple of rookies making their major league debuts. Carrera takes inside 1 and 2.
And Petrichka does have 9 saves this year out of the White Sox bullpen. He is 9 of 12 in the save department.
Missed again, 2 and 2. He's also given up a couple of game-winning home runs. One to Zach Walters of the Indians, and the other to Brian McCann.
We haven't seen that Walters kid yet, have we?
Not yet, no. We'll see him the next time the Tigers hook up with the Tribe later in this road trip.
I seem to hear his name a lot.
He was in the Masterson deal, I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's in one of those trades that they made this year. 2 and 2 on Carrera. Sir Camp and Guerra warming up just in case. And a foul back out of play. Swing and miss. So Carrera down on strikes, 1 away. Don't forget about the Labor Day sale. Save 50% and get MLB.com at bat premium features for only $4.99. Follow every Tigers game with live look-ins, replay reviews, the MLB.TV game of the day, and more. Download the App Store or visit Tigers.com/mobile today.
Yeah, beyond the first inning here today, Tigers just not making a lot of contact. And they have struck out 15 times today as a team.
That's a ball inside. I was incorrect on the Zach Walters deal. That was in the Asdrubal Cabrera trade. Nationals, yes. 2-0 on Eugenio Suarez. And it's a strike call. 2-1. Rajay Davis will be next. Tigers down by 3 in the 9th. 3 balls, 1 strike.
Tigers scored their runs in the very first inning. Scored 3 runs against Chris Sale, 2 home runs, 1 for Kinsler, and 1 for Victor Martinez. They've been shut out the rest of the way.
There's a walk to Suarez. We'll put a man on with a man out. 1 more base runner. You bring the tying run to the plate. Davis single and a walk. Those 2 at bats against the starter Sale. And it's That's in for strike one. 6 runs, 10 hits today for the White Sox. 3 runs, 7 hits for the Tigers. They've committed 2 errors. Low, 1 ball, 1 strike.
He does his best work, obviously, against right-handed batters. Does Petricka. Righties hitting only 197 against him. Lefties 307. Tigers have a couple left-handers on their bench.
2-1.
And Don Kelly on the bench. Alex Avila on the bench.
The 2-1 offering coming home. And it's a bouncing ball back up the middle. Into center field. A base hit. That's going to put 2 aboard. And now the tying run will come to the plate. 2 on and 1 out. Ian Kinsler stepping in. Comes Don Cooper. They've gone with Belisario, Putnam, and Petricka out of their bullpen. Tigers fans here trying to get the Let's Go Tigers chant started.
And told you Tigers scored 3 runs in the very first inning. It was Ian Kinsler taking a fastball from Chris Sale, hitting it into the left field seats.
It was his 13th home run of the year. The Tigers raced out to a 3-0 lead in the first. And they're trying to score their first run since that 3-run first. 2 on and 1 out. And it's in there for a strike on Kinsler.
Good fastball at 95 thrown by Petricka with a little late life on it.
Here's the 0-1. Ground ball back up the middle. This could be 2, 4, 6, and 3 for a game-ending double play. The Tigers get 3 in the first, do not score the rest of the way, and the White Sox win game 1 of the doubleheader.
Well, just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, and it's brought to you by Miller. Like Chris Sale, who started for the White Sox this afternoon, gave up 3 runs to the Tigers, and he didn't give up anything after that. His fastball got all the way up to 97. He threw some outstanding sliders. Very few changeups today. He overpowered the Tigers' offense to the tune of 12 strikeouts for the long, lanky left-hander.
So the White Sox take game 1 of the doubleheader. We'll be back.